be a better way to make his daughter grow up without having to resort to such desperate measures. Gillian felt a small bubble of anger toward the man who had died, leaving her to deal with what he hadn't been able to face in his own lifetime. After all, she was only 2 years older than her stepdaughter. How in the world was she supposed to know how to deal with the now penniless woman camped out on her doorstep? The only thing she knew was that no matter how much she might want to help her stepdaughter, she couldn't. Slowly, she lifted the telephone receiver and pressed the buttons on the keypad. No, it wasn't an emergency. Yes, she would hold. The intercom buzzed again, and Gillian flipped the switch to turn the sound off. After an hour of trying to reason with her stepdaughter, of trying to help her see that her only hope was to get a job and get on with the business of living, Gillian was forced to give up. She had done all she could do. The police operator came back on the phone, and Gillian squeezed her eyes tightly shut as she reported a trespasser on her property. When the operator asked the address, Gillian hesitated. Opening her eyes again, she watched the now silent picture of Katya attempting to budge the immovable gates with her bare hands. "Your address, please," the operator repeated. Gillian let out a deep breath, then gave the address of the only permanent home Katya Morgan had ever known. Chapter 1. 1 week earlier. "I'm an orphan." Katya Morgan felt the telephone receiver start to slip out of her hand and clenched it tighter. Her fingernails dug into her palm, but she didn't relax her grip as she sat staring out at the sparkling waters of the Caribbean. Her stepmother's calm voice on the other end of the line sounded soothing, belying her words as she said, "I know this is a shock to you, Katya. Your father did his best to hide the seriousness of his cancer, even from me. I didn't know how sick he was until it was too late." Katya reached for the pack of Nat Sherman black and golds lying on the poolside table next to her. Tapping one slim cigarette out of the pack, she brought the sweet-smelling tobacco to her lips and searched blindly for her lighter, then leaned back in her chaise lounge on the patio of the villa she'd rented for the summer on the island of St. Martin. Holding the flame to her cigarette, she pulled in a breath of expensive nicotine. Daddy couldn't be gone. She knew he'd been unwell, but he was going to get better. He'd said so himself. Pushing her favorite gold-rimmed, purple-tinted Armani sunglasses farther up the bridge of her nose, Katya blinked back tears. "How did he—" She paused, swallowing a deep breath of island air, and started again. "Was it bad at the end?" "No. The morphine helped a lot with the pain. He simply slipped peacefully away in his sleep." Gillian answered in that same soothing tone, the one Katya always thought of as her stepmother's kindergarten teacher voice. Katya closed her eyes, trying not to imagine her tough, judgmental, larger-than-life father lying small and withered in his massive mahogany bed. The Caribbean sun beat down on her mercilessly, her island paradise now turned into an unrelenting inferno. Opening her eyes again, Katya tapped the dead ash off the end of her cigarette with a shapely red fingernail and gazed out at the stunningly glorious day. White sailboats studded water so blue it nearly screamed to be painted. Lush green islands were dotted about, their brightly colored flowers invisible until you ventured closer, then exploding in bright pinks, golden yellows, and luminescent corals. It was all too perfect, and she couldn't bear to continue looking at it, but couldn't close her eyes again either, and risk seeing that haunting vision of her father. As usual, she seemed unable to make the right choice. Eyes open, eyes closed, what did it matter? Her father was dead, and at 31 she was an orphan. Without her father, she had no one. Katya drew in a ragged breath.